Thank you. I don't know where to start, but I will talk about my personal experience. I have been working for development in different areas of conflict and crisis for almost 13 years. As a result of this work, I have seen the worst and the best of this world and of humanity. I live in a conflict area and 5-star hotel. I witnessed the combustion of the field workers and brutality of the warlords. I confronted the inhumanity, but I also love its beauty, love the beauty of this world, and cherish it. Now, I feel that I have an immune system that protects me everywhere I go. Although the assumption and the stereotype, it seemed to always follow me and challenge me, but I believe in the community. I believe in a community, and I believe that I belong to the community everywhere I go. 3 words from my experience describe a refugee and a person like me. It's accommodation, assimilation, and isolation. Accommodation is the best approach, where we give up something of ourselves and we gain something. Assimilation is the worst approach, where we give up everything that defines us and gain nothing. Isolation is a process where we give everything and gain nothing. Some people think isolation is a condition that involves barriers. For example, we think we isolate a dangerous prisoner or quarantine a contagious patient to protect citizens. In contrast, we think we perceive danger as a barrier that can impose isolation and isolate refugees and immigrants. Fake protection based on a wrong assumption can isolate us and create barriers. Protective barriers can also restrict our movement, and what's most worsening is those barriers that can restrict our association with each other. When I moved to the US, I was hoping that in this diverse place, it would be easier for me to engage and thrive, because there is a loud voices that welcome newcomer like me. I came, and I was patient enough that acceptance will follow. However, this community has preferred to see me as a poor refugee who needs assistance. When I arrived, I had an appointment with the director of NGO. I went with a company of man of privilege and approached the receptionist. And I said, I have an appointment with the director. The receptionist, with the good intention, who happened to be a woman from disadvantaged group, she turned her back and talked to the man who accompanied me. And she said, what services does she need? In a private moment, the man and I, we laughed. The gentleman, he told her that, as she said, she has an appointment. She doesn't need a service. I can understand the good intention of the woman. She was quicking the exchange by turning to presume native speaker and asked. But she asked based on wrong assumption that the only business that I can have with the director was to receive the services. Imagine, how many of you have thought the same thing? How many of you who thought that a person like me is just an oppressed woman, need to be liberated? It's just a poor person, need assistance, or a vulnerable person, need support? How many of you? I'll tell you one story. After the election result, I was traveling from DC back home, and I stopped on one of the travel plaza. While I was wandering with my chai latte, a woman with a friendly face and a warm smile insisted on having a conversation with me. We have a short conversation, an eye contact, and then she hugged me, and she said, "I promise I will not be silent, and I will protect any women who wear a hijab." I hugged her, and I promised that I'll be strong. And I told her that, you know what? I'm not vulnerable, and I will not let anyone to harass me. I know many people who never met a Muslim or know the struggle of immigrants that are susceptible for the assumption and assimilate the assumption that everyone like me can create fear and insecurity around them. I may not see that woman again, or not even remember her face, but I know one thing, that we both will keep the promise because we stand together in a warm voice of humanity. But I have to remind myself, after the 100 days that followed the swearing of the president, that I'm a strong Muslim woman, Sudanese, and female. And above all those words, and I will continue to be myself, regardless of the political rhetoric that encourage assimilation and force isolation. I was happy to walk around my neighborhood and to see that my neighbor had a sign written in 3 different languages, include mine, which is Arabic. The sign said, if I remember very well, "No matter where you're from, we're glad to have you as our neighbor." I was happy to see that sign, and I went to the neighbor and I said, "Thank you." That will give me the hope that I will be a good neighbor, and together we can celebrate the humanity and diversity of this community. 2 days ago, I returned back from Lebanon after visiting the camps on the border with Syria. Lebanon is a very complicated community. In Lebanon, you find Islam and Christianity. You find refugees from everywhere, from Ethiopia, Sudan, Palestine, and Syria. And Lebanon, the refugees and Lebanese are equal, more or less, are equal in population. And you may think that Lebanese, they are accepting this big number of refugees. But like everywhere, and here in the US, they have a fear of fears and insecurity of that big numbers of refugees. I have to remind the aid worker that I was working with that we are humanitarian workers. We make no distinction in the status, and our obligation is to the community. And again, I keep reminding myself that I will always, as a visitor and a stranger, it will be difficult for me to tell, and for everyone, who belong and who isolate. But I believe in one thing, that we together can work to build a community based on mutual respect and opportunity for all. Before I leave, I will say that I will continue to accommodate humanity for the sake of better community. But I might sometimes need to isolate myself to seek peace and sanctuary, but I will never assimilate. I cannot be you, and you cannot be me. Your culture is your culture, and my culture is mine. But I will do my best to accommodate humanity for the sake of better community. And we, together, can accommodate and define humanity and celebrate diversity. I will not take a class to lose my accent, but I will do my best to communicate the story of how can we accommodate and appreciate each other. In my community, there is no refugee, there is no immigrant, there is just humanity. And community began with a sincere welcome. Thank you.